My name is Madison McNair, and I am here outside of Georgia State University's campus at Student Center East. Studies show that 1 in 4 college students suffer from some form of mental illness, including depression. Here at Georgia State, students can seek resources for help and also raise awareness about mental illness on campus.
My name is Kateryna Kourliak, and I am the president of Active Minds here at Georgia State University. At the end of my sophomore year here at Georgia State, at the beginning of 2016, I was going through a really hard time, and I knew it was because I felt like I could be doing something more important. My friend Cody Nolan, in August of 2016, chartered Active Minds here at Georgia State, and she was looking for executive board positions. And I was thinking, mental health is probably the single most important thing I can think of for every single person on this planet. So I thought I would love to get involved with that. So I decided to apply to be Programs VP, and now here I am as president. I myself have been diagnosed with depression before, but I think that it doesn't even need to be anything like that. I think everyone can relate when it comes to mental health. Like I said, stress and things, everyday mental health is so important too. So I think that tying those two things together, something, I did have something that was so awful to go through, but I also, on an everyday basis, though I am over that big hurdle, I think that every day I'm always focusing on making sure I'm mentally healthy, even just on a day-to-day basis.
I am Dr. Darryl Holloman. I am the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. I think it's just a tried and true stigma, right? And I think it has a lot to do with, in some instances, ethnicity, regional locations where people may not be as educated about mental illness. And so I just think people have still in our country far too much stigma surrounded around someone that has a mental illness.
I'd say just because we're in a college setting, new place, you're not with your family anymore most of the time, you're taking classes much more difficult than you ever, have had to before. You have to work, you have to go to school. The number one thing I see every day with our members has to be stress. And stress can be very quickly debilitating and exhausting and can really put a damper on your mental health. So I think that that's the number one thing I see. So that's a thing we always focus on a lot, stress management.
Our areas didn't always do that. 20 years ago, when you talked about the counseling center, primarily people spoke about test anxieties, a little bit of stress. And now you see more depth in terms of mental illness on college campuses. And I think that the resources that are allocated to the counseling center at Georgia State really helps to support and address students who may suffer from a mental illness. So I think that just still exists a lot. Definitely in communities of color, some religious orders are just, thinking that things can be fixed in alternative ways. And sometimes that can be the case. But I think at some point people just have to realize it's just a matter of someone learning to grow and develop with what they have, right? And sometimes that requires medicine, sometimes it doesn't. But I think the stigma surrounding mental illness is still very prevalent in our society.
My favorite thing that the former president ever said to me was, when you're growing up, your parents always tell you when you get a cut on your knee, they tell you to put a Band-Aid on it. When you break your arm, you see people with casts on. But I think at a young age, we aren't taught that, if you're going through a rough time mentally, I don't think a lot of people know what to do. And I think that that's really giving me a purpose and helping people know what to do when they don't know what to do and what to think.
Don't feel uncomfortable or ashamed to come to college and receive the support so we can ensure that we have spaces where all of our students can graduate.
Active Minds at Georgia State usually meets at Mondays at 7:15. We try to have at least 2 meetings a month. We usually meet in Student Center East. If you want to get connected and find out exactly where our meetings are, you can look us up on OrgSync. My personal email will be on there. So if you would like to just reach out to me personally, I can put you on the email list. or you can follow us on Instagram, which is Active Minds GSU 16, or search us on Facebook, which is Active Minds at Georgia State.